Join us as we sing our gathering hymn, number 121 in the gray hymnal, We'll Build a Land. That's number 121. You can follow along on the projector. Please rise and body your spirit.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm so happy to see everybody today. I am Gloria Holland, serving as your celebrant today, and singing in those masks it's really hot. Reverend Rick is out this morning, but we have with us in the pulpit our own Gregg, who is one of the Homilist Storytellers group. And Gregg will offer a suggestion for hope in a troubled world. At UUCS, we hope you will discover a welcoming community. If this is your first visit to a service here, you are welcome. If you're a familiar face, you are welcome. If you're viewing online, you too are welcome as part of the UUCS community. For those of you who are here today, you are invited to join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall. From Elizabeth Lerner McClay, comes this. As drops of rain find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so are we drawn together. So are we fortunate to find each other. So are we bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity. Please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship. Nurture the hopes and serve the needs of our world.
Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. Gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. Gonna shake hands around the world, everywhere I roam, everywhere I roam, everywhere I roam. I'm gonna shake hands around the world, everywhere I roam. Gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. No, sir. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more.
Thank you. That was quite lively. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Each week we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Salem, Oregon. The second is for our partner church in Šimon-Falva, Transylvania, Romania. And the third chalice we light for our children and youth in our religious education program and for all the children in the world. Please join us as we sing The Flame into Light. Rise up, O flame, my light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. As most of you know, we usually have our kiddos in the sanctuary up to this point in the service, when we hear a story and the kids are ushered out through the Love Arch. This is actually one of my favorite parts of the service. But during the summer, with all the gorgeous, maybe overly gorgeous weather that we've had, our RE director, Molly Brown, is having kids camp. I think outside, maybe not so much today, I'm just not sure. Last week, the LRE program hosted Star Wars camp. The kids got to make and wear their own Baby Yoda headbands. They made Chewbacca out of brown paper bags, got to do Star Wars origami, ate lightsaber kebabs, which are green and purple grapes on kebab sticks, and each family had a Polaroid picture of their kiddo to take home. It was a great time. The kids had so much fun. This week is Dance Till You Drop week. And we're going to have a special visitor today. Annie Jocelyn from the American Ballet Academy will be visiting the kids today. And the kids will make costumes and learn new dance moves. And then, during the fellowship hour, we are going to have a special treat because there's going to be a dance performance. How exciting is that? So, the Dalai Lama tells us that compassion is not religious business. It is human business. It is not luxury. It is essential for our own peace and mental stability. Compassion is essential for human survival. How often do we become impatient with those other drivers? Or the old man standing oblivious with his cart in the middle of the grocery store aisle, right? We need only to look to ourselves to find compassion rather than anger, love rather than annoyance. With compassion, we accept what we cannot change, and we work to offer kindness without ever needing to know what others may be suffering. Sarah Ban Breathnock gives us these thoughts on gratitude. Real life isn't always going to be perfect or go our way, but the recurring acknowledgement of what is working in our lives can help us not only to survive, but surmount difficulties. You simply will not be the same person 2 months from now after consciously giving thanks each day for the abundance that exists in your life. And you will have set in motion an ancient spiritual law. The more you have and are grateful for, the more you will be given.
Good morning. I'm Lorna Youngs with Lifelines Lay Ministry. And of course, most of you know that Lifelines Lay Ministry is here to help the minister provide a special additional service and support to those members of our community who are in a time of need. We also provide every Sunday a reading of the joys and concerns that have come through either the joys and concerns that can be posted on our website by just clicking on joys and concerns on the front page, or in the black book that we still keep in the lobby. And today we have 2 concerns. The first one was posted from Starla Nelson on July 29. One of my closest and oldest friends, Wayne, is in the hospital in Olympia, Washington, fighting off a serious E. coli infection that has spread to his kidneys and blood, along with a dangerously low sodium level. Prayers and good wishes for a full recovery are greatly appreciated. And our hearts and prayers go out to Starla and to Wayne. And Carolyn Patterson writes, "Please keep my nephew and his mother in your thoughts as she's having some serious medical issues. And as Gloria spoke this morning about compassion, there's a lot of us who are finding ourselves with medical issues and need a little extra compassion. So thank you very much, and I hope you can manage to stay cool for the rest of this week.
Please join me in singing our pastoral hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life, in the gray hymnal. That's 123. You can remain seated and follow along on the projector. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Williamson, author, activist, spiritual leader, and former presidential candidate, gives us Shine from her work, A Return to Love. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Hi, my name's Gregg, Fafa to my friends and family. In 1954, I was 8 years old, about the age my grandkids are now. My father had a job repairing heavy equipment for the military in a place called Whittier, Alaska. Whittier gets an average of around 200 inches of rainfall a year, or precipitation. Some years are worse than others, and 1954 turned out to be a doozy. My brother and I attended school in a Quonset hut about 3/4 of a mile from the trailer where we lived. And since Whittier was a military base, the Army provided a school bus. It was always either snowing or raining in Whittier, so there were never any snow days. And it was no big deal when it began to snow, just as we were getting out of school and getting on the bus. It started as the big, fluffy, almost wet snow that kind of clumps up as it's coming down, the kind of snow that makes an 8-year-old think of snowmen and snowball fights. My brother and I were at the back of the line getting on the bus, probably because we were horsing around, when the wind started blowing, and we watched those big fluffy flakes take off like the devil was after them. We were barely on the bus when the wind started really picking up and the snow started falling faster. Now, I'm sure the driver could see the road when we started out, but within only a few blocks, we felt a big bump and the bus came to a stop. By that time, it was almost dark in the bus, except for the light from the dashboard and some dim light coming through the windows. It happened so fast. There wasn't much talking that I can remember because within a minute or two, the wind was howling like a banshee and shaking the bus. The driver sat there for a while looking out the window at nothing. I'm pretty certain by this time he had no idea where we were, just that we hadn't been moving long. He seemed pretty calm as he told us to wait while he went to figure out where we were. I don't remember being scared at the time, but I was 8, and what did I know? When he opened the bus, the door to leave, the wind sent a flurry of snow and cold air whirling into the bus. And as he pushed it closed from the outside, all we could hear was the sound of the wind whistling and battering at the bus. It seemed like a long time before the bus driver returned, and when he did, we heard him walk into the side of the bus with a bang. After he found the door and pried it open, another big blast of cold air and snow came whirling into the bus, and he told us all to hold on to the coat of the kid in front of us. He said to hold on tight because when we got outside, we wouldn't be able to see where we were going. Now, I had heard of snow falling so hard that you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, so when I got off the bus, I held up my hand and looked, and by George, I can confirm that that is sometimes true, although I was never in another storm that bad. I know the wind was blowing hard because even though all you could see was the dim whiteness of the snow, it stung my face where it was exposed, and we were all holding on tight to the coat in front of us, in part to keep from getting blown over. It turned out the walk from the bus to the front door of the Catholic Church was fairly short because we had stopped on the gravel patch that served as the church lawn. There were only a few steps to the door. Inside the church, the bus driver and the priest made us hot soup for dinner while we played games and listened to the radio. There was no television in Whittier at that time, but the military radio gave regular reports on the storm. Whenever the reports came in, we'd gather around the radio to listen and hear about the school children who were stranded at the Catholic Church. That was us. They told us not to worry because the colonel was sending out a troop of soldiers to rescue us. About half an hour later, the radio reported another troop of soldiers were being sent out to rescue the rescuers. They didn't get to us until after the snow stopped and the wind died down. The bus driver and the priest fixed the pews up as beds, and I remember being amazed that there were enough blankets for everyone. We used our coats as pillows. At the shop where my father worked, they were listening to the radio too, so he knew we were safe. But he came to the church anyway to check on us while the wind was still blowing, but after the snow had died down a little. He left us at the church and went home because he knew my mother was low alone and probably going crazy. There was no probably about it. He told us later that the only way he found the trailer under all the snow was that when he got close to home, Our dog, who was with my mother, started barking, and when my mother opened the door to a solid wall of snow, the dog dove in and burrowed his way out to lead my father back home. The next day, the wind stopped, and the big snow blowers cleared the way for us to walk home through drifts of snow at least 6 or 7 feet high. There was a silence I can still remember. The snow seemed to muffle our footsteps and even our voices. The next day was the only snow day I can remember from my childhood until I started high school in New Jersey. And I was always amazed at how little snow it took to get a day off in New Jersey. And I'm still a little amazed when my kids get a day off here in Oregon. I see now that the bus driver was a hero. Stepping out of that bus into a storm like that was a brave thing to do. He must have known that when the bus cooled down, our winter coats would not be enough to keep us warm. So he committed himself to search blindly in a violent snowstorm to find us a safe haven. I never thought to thank him. I didn't think any of us did, but I thank him now. I thank him in you. Today, we face a different kind of storm. And although scientists are not always right, having studied science as many of us at UU have, I have great confidence in the findings of science because I know the process. For almost 50 years now, the scientific community has been ringing the alarm bell about global warming, climate change. Climate change is not a big storm. It is something more far-reaching and long-term. It is one of the reasons I became involved in politics, most recently in the Bernie Sanders campaign. I marched in many social justice rallies and was stricken by the awareness of some of the young people I met. Here are some that I ran into. There's much being said in these tiny signs. I see them as the whispering voices of children calling 911 from a Uvalde classroom. Our children have no illusions. They are calling out for the bus driver to lead them to safety. I've been on this planet for more than 75 years. Some of those years, I was waiting for the world to change. Then I got tired of waiting and picked up my protest signs and donned my campaign gear to make it change. Let me tell you, that is a recipe for frustration. I decided I would never be able to change others, so the only thing left to do was to change myself. In keeping with our principle of free religious exploration, this is an idea I pulled out of the chaos. It occurred to me after I lost my faith in humanity. Because of so many moments of outrage, I asked myself, how can universal love and justice be the values of humanity? The world we live in suggests that they are not. I know many of us are frustrated and sometimes enraged by what seems to be the intentional blindness of a large and politically powerful part of our society. Life has survived for more than 4.5 billion years on this planet. In truth now, life on Earth is dying, and we all know what's killing it. We often hear people say they have faith in humanity. Perhaps that is because they are surrounded, as we are here at UUC, by people who would put themselves at risk for others, who act with compassion and strive for agape love. Many humans, however, behave as if they regard their own lives as an entitlement, while treating the life and environment around them with disdain. They have no difficulty finding ways to envision themselves as superior beings. I think not. Even our enlightened values do not make us superior beings. They only dispel the illusion that any human is in any way superior to other humans or even other life forms. Animals live in a real world, and even dogs are better at love than humans. I will try to be the bus driver today, so hold on to each other's coats as we step out into the storm. According to Merriam-Webster, heresy is dissent or deviation from a dominant theory, opinion, or practice. From my perspective, transformation requires heresy. In fact, Unitarianism was born out of heresy, the battle between the doctrine of the Holy Trinity and the heresy of God as one. The battle between church doctrine and individual logic and conscience. I'd like to propose another heresy we might consider. Our reality is crying out now that humanity must either evolve or perish, taking much of life or all of life with it. That is the hopelessness of this generation, crying out for help with no help in sight. We need a different kind of evolution. We need an evolution of consciousness, an evolution of perception. From my perspective, we have already evolved. We just haven't realized it yet. Greed, bigotry, self-righteousness, hatred, and fear, those who wield these wield power. While love, kindness, justice, tolerance, and respect for one another have little power in human society. But there is an existential difference between these two. Love has survival value. Hatred does not. Even so, holding these values is not a sign of superiority, only of a different path. Just as the tortoise walks a different path than the hare, or the eagle a different path than the snake, those paths are evolutionary differences that define species. I began to wonder how I could stop being part of a species that is walking the path to extinction. Here's my heresy. By definition, we cannot evolve and remain human. The trick I propose is we only need to change our minds about what we are. We do that by realizing that what we have always been and discarding all the illusions we have been saddled with by human society. And there are many. Human society is almost entirely built on lies that contradict Unitarian, the values of Unitarian Universalism. I view human as a word that sets us apart from what we really are. Here at UUC, we celebrate the sacred in one another. We're all brothers and sisters in life. We're the sacred spirit of life, which we all embody, and without which we are only the chemicals of the earth, is our self. We share this self with all living things. We are not different. We are one cloth that makes many garments. Our spirit is that which created us and sustains us. I propose that we stop being humans evolved from apes and begin being life evolved from humans. I think of this as transformation or transcendence, and in the spirit of universalism, it's available to anyone. Humans know themselves as the vessel of their own consciousness. Transformed life knows itself beyond its vessel of consciousness. In moments of egoless contemplation, we can see ourselves in a bird or an elephant or a blade of grass. But we can only do that if we embody the principles of Unitarianism and let go of our attachment to the material. The spirit of life is expressed in many ways here at UUC. For example, our caring fellowship and our struggle for social justice. If we stop being human in our minds and begin being life, our perspective changes and affirms the spiritual paths that brought us to the values we share. We confirm our love of life in a new and inclusive way. We care about the self, the sacred in one another and in all living things. If we love life, it is self-love. Then the call to love one another as you love yourself only makes sense. We love the self we all share. A people awakened to this self is far better able to deal with disasters like climate change, pandemics, hatred, greed, and lust for power over others. The biggest obstacle we face is ego. Ego is the chain that binds us to our vessel of consciousness. When we know ourselves as life and see what life has accomplished, what our immortal self accomplished before humans even showed up on the scene, and contrast it with the vast devastation humanity has inflicted upon that accomplishment, it seems clear to me that humanity holds no claim on life other than life's compassion. We stop being human when we die. I suggest this can happen before we die. If we become life in our minds, we become a community of life. Then our focus can be self-preservation through community action. Here at UU, we amplify our spirit through community. It is no great leap to the idea that being human has little or nothing to do with what we are. Hope? I feel those who embody the values of Unitarian Universalism, whatever their beliefs or religious affiliation, may only be waiting for a spark that could transform the human species. Let us continue to help each other do what we must to live in the world we are given, while acting against the current of destruction, hatred, and greed in whatever way we can. The principles of universal love and justice are the principles that life requires to continue on this planet. Where we find them, we find the path that leads to survival. In keeping with our universalism, those values are open to anybody who wants to follow them. When we know ourselves as life, we speak and act as life and welcome those who follow that path. Humans do not live by our principles. They are on a different spiritual journey, wandering without regard for the sacred in pursuit of fame, fortune, or power. They're burdened with ego and unable to see the oneness we share. Once again, let us stop being humans evolved from apes and become life evolved from humans. Life constructed this planet. Only life can repair it. It is time to apply ourselves to that task. As humans, we are powerless. As life, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. I hope this has been useful. Now it is perhaps your turn. Perhaps you are the bus driver, and perhaps you is the church that will shelter the children. This is a world in danger, with an uncertain future. We need a destination, a path we can walk together to a goal that leads toward life for future generations of all species. Thank you, my brothers and sisters, for this opportunity to be heard. Life be with us and in us.
Thank you. That certainly gave us a lot to think about. Take a moment now to reflect on the many hopes we share for our world and that we carry with us each day. In our hope for safety and shelter and food security and open communication, honesty in relationships, and justice in all aspects of our lives. We join every other human being on earth. These hopes are not fragile desires, not luxuries, but rather these hopes, like compassion, are essential for human survival. May it be so. As is true with any organization, UUCS operates within a budget. This congregation has been fortunate in past years to benefit from the generosity of its members and guests. We continue to contribute money and food to the Marion Polk Food Share, and any donations of food may be left in the little red wagon, which is going to be brought up here now. Thank you, Carrie Lynn. We hope you continue to have a generous heart today. Our Share the Plate recipient for this 5th Sunday in July is the Religious Education Program. Our RE director, Molly, has brought many creative ideas and activities to our RE program, such as the Sunday outdoor camp. Of course, these programs need funding. And with our help, our children will experience even more exciting and creative Sunday mornings. To donate to the UUCS Religious Education Program and to submit your monthly offering to UUCS, please check out your newsletter for more information. You may also leave your offering in the baskets, which will be passed shortly, and we thank you for your kind generosity.
Gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in white. God's gonna trouble the water. The leader looks like an Israelite. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in red. God's gonna trouble the water. It looks like the band that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in water. And God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Thank you, Dennis. Beautiful music. We invite you to attend our next service at 10:30 next Sunday, August 7th, when we will be hearing from the Reverend Mark Gallagher, whose subject is Be Calm Thyself.
Now I get to tell you about the connection groups. In the course of my journey here at UU, I have become a co-coordinator or co-facilitator of one of the connection groups. Let me tell you a little bit about it. There are a number of connection groups, and each one has a unique flavor. All the groups receive the same monthly packet. It's full of suggested readings, videos, poetry, essays on a topic. For some groups, the packet is the principal topic of conversation. However, often the most important part of our meetings are the check-ins, where each of us tells a little bit about what's going on in our lives. There are times, too, when current events are impacting us in a way that calls out for us to seek the perspectives of our friends. Even on months when we are diverted from the topic of the packet, we hit some of the highlights, so the work of those who put that thing together are not wasted. Connection group has become an important part of our experience here at UU. If you decide to try attending and one group doesn't appeal to you, each one is different, so don't give up. This is one of the ways we get connected and discover how unique and compassionate the folks at UU really are. Sarah is going to be in the fellowship hall after the service to help sign you up, or if you don't want to do that, you can sign up online at UUCS website, and there's a link in the newsletter that takes you right to the sign-up page.
I love my connection group, and I signed up online, and I'm telling you, if I can do it, you can do it. It's that easy. There are many ways to access news of the community, but my favorite place to discover what's going on is in our UUCS weekly newsletter. If you're not receiving a newsletter, contact the office and they will make sure that you receive that. It is full of a lot of information. So, we're going to, yes, Gregg is going to help light the social justice candle. Each week, we light our social justice candle as a reminder of the many ways that we, as Unitarian Universalists, work individually and collectively toward a more just world. There you go. As we extinguish our chalices this morning, let us go out with these words from Tom Schad. And excuse me if I said the name wrong. Hope is not just a good idea. Love is not naive. Faith is not just the brave face we put on in a hopeless situation. There we go.
Hymnal. That's 318, and you can follow along on the screens as well. Please rise and body your spirit.
To that
show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow, a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Please remain standing as you are able, and if you are comfortable with it, join hands as we say our closing words. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come. Blessed be.